What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here with a preview for this weekend, but also maybe a preview for next season because I am wanting to start adding previews to the video log, and I have some ideas in the works that I will hopefully be announcing over the next few weeks that will help with that. But looking ahead to this weekend, I am recording this shortly after Tottenham have just lifted their first trophy in several decades. Disappointed in that fact because, I mean, obviously it's fun to make fun of Tottenham for not winning anything, and now you can't really do that. However, of the two, this was the team that if they won, it wasn't going to do anything for them. For Man U, winning would take them into the Champions League. It would give them something to build on. This is a new manager who hasn't had a chance to go into the summer transfer market yet and get players that he wants. Ange is in his second season. These are players that he wanted. These are players that Levy would spend minimal money on. And this is what you get. You get a side that's good enough to win Europa League, but next year they're going to get exposed again. Ange's tactics are going to get exposed again. They'll be probably knocked out either in the league phase or in the first round of the playoffs of the Champions League, and will probably finish bottom half of the table again, unless Ange gets sacked by Christmas. So obviously, of the two, Tottenham is the least likely to do anything with this win. It's just disappointing that we can't make fun of them for not winning anything anymore. But for Man U fans, I mean, how frustrated must you be? Tottenham didn't win this. You guys lost it. This was not Tottenham playing in a masterful plan, doing phenomenally. The game was there to be won. You guys just didn't finish. I mean, Tottenham's defense was terrible, and you guys couldn't take advantage of it. Oh my God, it was funny to watch. Like, this was better than going to a comedian show. So why would I pay money to do that when I could just watch this game and laugh at how embarrassing both of these sides are? I mean, the quality was so lacking. It was very apparent this was the 16th and 17th place teams in the Premier League. But with all that being in mind, it does mean looking ahead to the weekend, we can't rely on Man U to do anything against Villa. We need to get the win against Forest. And so that's what this is leading into, is looking ahead at the Forest match. We have to win. There's a slight chance maybe Everton could do us a favor and take some points off of Newcastle. But for one, even if they do, I would expect a draw at the most, which means we couldn't draw against Forest because Newcastle have a better goal difference than we do. So looking at the Forest match, we do have to go in for a win. Thankfully, there is a bit of possible unrest there. I know they just won their last match, but there is still what happened a couple weeks ago with the owner coming on the pitch, having a pop at the physios, having a pop at Nuno. So there might still be a bit of unrest. It might still help us a little bit to have that bit of instability for Forest. But first and foremost, we need to look at what we have to do. And this is where, for Maresca, I'm not entirely convinced that he's going to have the answers to what we need to do there. So how I think my previews are going to go is I'm going to give my preferred lineup, who I would like to see start, how I would like to see us set up, and then I'm going to give what I'm assuming Maresca's lineup is going to be based on what we've seen from him in the past, and then I'll give some thoughts about how I think the game is going to go versus how I hope it's going to go. So first of all, for what I would like to see as far as the lineup, obviously Sanchez is going to start because Jorgensen, he's just not got it. Sanchez is not good either, but he's a better option than Jorgensen at the moment, so he has to start in goal. My back four, keep it pretty simple. James on the right, Chalobah, Colwill in the middle, Cucurella on the left. I don't understand why Tosin started the last match, but I don't want to see him again. Chalobah should be there. He has been our best defender for the second half of the season since he's come back. I know some people will say Colwill has been better. He's not. He's had a lot of issues. Those gaps in his game have shown their ugly head in several games. Chalobah has had a few slip-ups, but not nearly as many as the rest of the defense. Cucurella and James is just obvious. I mean, the two of them set up for that amazing goal against Man U. They both need to start. Going up into the midfield, I'd like to see a midfield three. Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo. I have nothing to suggest that he's going to do this because he's never done this before, but I would like to see that setup. I think it's going to work a lot better to have Caicedo and Lavia both in there, both in the middle of the pitch, and then Fernandez maybe a bit further forward, but kind of doing what he normally does, playing the box-to-box, getting up in the attack, but then also tracking back and making some defensive challenges here and there. And then into the front three, a lot of people are saying that they expect Palmer to be up top as the false nine. The fact of the matter is, I'll talk about Maresca's expected lineup in a minute, but my preferred person up top is the person that I said 3 or 4 games before Maresca actually tried it, back when Jackson got injured, was going to be the best second option as a false nine? Neto. I don't understand why it took him so long to realize that that is his best second option as a false nine. Obviously, with Guiu out injured, he couldn't turn to him. And I know Guiu, chance he's going to be back, but this is way too soon. And especially for a young kid, don't go throwing him into this match. Don't go starting him in this match. You can bring him on as a sub, give him some minutes, give him some chances to run out his legs. But from the start, it should be Neto. Because Neto has shown he has the qualities, not quite the physical qualities, but he has the running, the pressure, the intensity that you want your false nine to have that can fill that gap that Jackson leaves when he's not in there. And then on the wings, I'm saying Palmer and Sancho. A lot of people are going to put Madueke in. Maresca's probably going to put Madueke in. He's not been good enough, in my opinion. He has not shown enough over the past run of matches since Maresca decided to bench Sancho, even though Sancho was scoring in the Conference League and then coming off the bench and scoring and also assisting. In that time, Madueke started every Premier League match, and he's not done anything with it. I'll have to go back and look and see. I'm pretty sure he's not scored or assisted. He's created some chances, and that's what people will look to. Like the Everton game, he had that one great run that forced a good save out of Pickford. That's not enough, though. He's not doing enough for the team. Sancho is creative when he comes on now. He's not been phenomenal, but he has been attributing to a lot of our attacks. And he's starting to look more like the Sancho that I think a lot of us were hoping we were going to get when we first brought him in. The type of player that I'm okay with if the board decides to finalize his loan and not pay the penalty to send him back. And Palmer on the wings is something that people have been crying out for a while because it did work at times last season. I don't think it's his best position, but I do think you take him out of the middle, I think it takes a little bit of pressure off of the midfield three because now you're drawing an extra defender over because they're not going to leave Palmer one-on-one with the defender. That's just not a smart thing to do. So you bring him out to the right side, now all of a sudden you're drawing somebody over to that side as well. You're probably drawing a midfielder over there. And that can open up a lot of space. It might even open up space for James to get up in there and do what he did against Man U. So personally, I think that is the best lineup that we could put out. The only acceptable switch around that I would see from that is if you take Fernandez off and then move Palmer inside and play Madueke on the right with Sancho on the left. That's the only other variation of that I would be okay with. However, knowing Maresca, that's not what's going to happen. What will probably happen is Sanchez in goal, Cucurella on the left, Colwill, maybe Tosin. I still don't know why Tosin played in the last match. I would hope that it's Chalobah, but it could be Tosin. But Colwill will definitely be in there. James will definitely be on the right. I'm assuming it's going to be Enzo and Caicedo in the midfield, and probably some variation of Palmer, Madueke, Sancho, and Neto as the front four. I can't imagine that he's going to put George back up top because even though he did say that he didn't mind having George up there, even though George was completely marked out of the game because that's not his position. He's better coming off the bench there than he is starting there. But even though he did say he didn't mind it, I don't expect him to make that same mistake again. Could be wrong, but I don't expect to see that. I would also not be too surprised if we did see Guiu from the start just because he's apparently back now. I think it would be dumb, but I wouldn't put it past Maresca to start him up top and go with Madueke, Neto, and Palmer as the three in behind him. I just think it would be a mistake because he's not going to be ready for it. Physically, mentally, he's not going to be ready to come in to this tough match against Forest defenders who are very strong, very aggressive. He's not going to be ready for that. But those are the lineups that I prefer and that I expect. As far as how the game's going to go, I don't know for sure. I wish I could predict a win and feel confident about it, but I don't. I feel like a draw is probably the most likely, a 1-1 draw where we get one early and then they nick one late to equalize. Obviously, it's not going to help either of us. But what I'd hope to see is if we do see something like my preferred lineup where we have that midfield three of Lavia, Caicedo, and Fernandez, I'd like to see that we dominate the game, that we not necessarily keep a lot of possession, but we don't let them break on us well. We don't let them pass through us way too easily. That midfield three being able to read the play well, Caicedo being the beast that he is in there, Lavia and Fernandez both running down track and runners well. If we can suffocate that midfield a bit and keep Forest from getting a good tempo and being able to break quickly on us, I think that could really, really help us. Now, as far as where the goals are going to come from, I mean, I think that should be obvious. Cucurella, as long as he's able to get up the pitch, as long as we allow him to make those runs into the box, we've got decent crossers of the ball. Neto, Madueke, Sancho, all of them put in decent crosses. James can also get up there and put in a cross as well. So I feel like as long as Cucurella is given that freedom and that license to roam forward a little bit, and we have enough in the midfield, like I said, with Caicedo and Lavia, to keep that space from being exploited if Cucurella does get up in there, I think that gives us a good chance of putting a good cross in, Cucurella finding the end of it, and we find a goal. Now, if we are to win, I'm expecting it to be tight. I'm expecting only by 1 goal, maybe 1-0, maybe 2-1 if we're lucky. But the most important thing out of all of this, the one thing that I am begging Maresca to make sure, and the team as well, to make sure that we do not start this match how we started the Newcastle and the Man U matches. The way that we started those 2 matches was embarrassing. It was slow. It was dull. I know Maresca is going to want us to knock it around. He's going to want us to play backwards whenever we're under pressure because that's his style. That's how he wants to play. He wants to keep possession. He wants to pass out of the back. I know that's what he wants to do, but at least play with some urgency. Even if you're going to play like that, play with some urgency. Don't make it so slow and dull that as soon as the pressure comes on, we have nothing. We have no options. We just have to go long right to their defenders who can come right back at us. Give us a chance to work through that press by making sure everybody's turned on, by making sure everybody is ready to go. They're in motion. They're on their toes. They're not standing. There's not a lot of people walking around. Because that's honestly the biggest problem with Maresca's style is that whenever we start this slow, or how we have in the Newcastle and Man U matches, that style goes from we're knocking it around, we're trying to create an opening, to we're knocking it around until the other team forces us to make a mistake or forces us to go long. That's all it turns into, because there's not enough options, because there's not enough movement, because everybody is walking, everybody's not tuned into the game. We need to be up for this. We need to be up for this match, and we need to make sure that we are fully focused on what we're trying to do here, which is get a win. Because we should be in the Champions League next year. And while we could get lucky and Man U could help us out or Everton could help us out, at the end of the day, let's not count on that. Let's make sure we create our own luck. We go out there, we win the match, we make sure we're in the Champions League spots. I mean, honestly, how great would it be if we could go in there and let's say Man City drop points at Fulham, Newcastle drop points to Everton. Now all of a sudden that win puts us up to 3rd. That would be phenomenal. So let's just go in, do what we need to do, get the job done, make it comfortable, and then all we have to do is just go play Betis in a final. And honestly, if we make Champions League, whether we win that final or not, obviously we should still win it. But let's say we do lose the final. If we're in the Champions League, oh well. People are going to roast us online because, of course, we shouldn't be losing that final. But it's going to hurt a lot less if we've made Champions League. We can throw that back in their faces. We can say, who cares? We're in the Champions League. It's a joke of a tournament anyway. The fact that we were there is embarrassing. So whether we win or not, it's still embarrassing. But that's about it for this preview. I hope you guys enjoyed the first one. I'm hoping to continue this into next season. And again, I have some ideas about where I want the channel to go from here that will hopefully help make this process of doing previews for games a lot easier as well. Also, if there's anybody from Georgia that's a Chelsea fan that's watching this, I will be at the watch party in the Battery, so come say hi if you want to, because I'm definitely excited to be around a bunch of other Chelsea fans and cheering on the team and hopefully cheering a victory. But we'll see what happens. All that being said, though, let me know what you guys think is going to happen. What do you expect the lineup to be? What do you expect the result to be? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea previews and reviews. Also, check out the channel. We have a lot of reviews on here as well as some Let's Plays, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to you all later. Peace out.